Hi there, it's Jason. Back down in the train room doing what I do best, and that's making a mess. Today is Sunday, May 13th, and I've got a few updates, small updates on the Red Rock Northern, so I'll show you what I've been working on. A lot of work in progress, not necessarily complete items, and then I'll wrap up with something I've been meaning to talk about for a couple of months. A little, it's on topic for trains, but a little off the beaten path. All right, so what have I been working on? I'm just going to move real quickly. Um, you'll notice in the diesel facility in the yard, I've removed the diesel facility and I've started putting in the gravel driveway for the diesel facility. I've started repairing the tar road, um, putting some latex paint back on, some gray latex paint, and I'll cover that back up with black. What happened there was, and I don't think I mentioned this in a previous video, but I had masked off this whole tar road with frog tape when I was working on some ballasting. I think it was when I was ballasting the yard. Anyways, when I pulled the frog tape up, it actually pulled quite a bit. Everywhere where you see gray paint, it pulled up. It pulled up all the paint off the road. So I had to put some, and it actually, since I had several coats of paint on that road, when it pulled it up, it actually pulled a significant layer off the road. So what I'm doing here is I put probably 4 coats of paint back on in the spots that were torn off with the paint, and then I will go over it with some black paint. For a mess down here, you can see I've this was lightly scenic several months ago. I've actually started putting some serious amounts of scenery on there now. I wasn't really sure many months ago what I was going to do with this area, what the track configuration was going to be, but now it's pretty set. So track is in, track bumpers are on, and I've started to put some ground foam down. So let's see, let's go over here. Speaking of gravel, I've started to, you can see I've pulled out the oil docks and I've started to gravel the oil dock area in there, masked off the track. If we go back over here, you can see I've got the oil dock and the tanks. I actually mounted the oil docks on a strip of, what is that, 1 inch wide by 7 inch or 7.5 inches long, 0.20 inch styrene, or was it 0.020, whatever, 20, I think it's 20 7 inch thick styrene, fairly about the thickness of a credit card. Started putting some, I got 2 coats of gravel in there, so basically I can just set that right into the gravel area and it'll, for the most part, blend. Same with the oil tanks. Working on a bridge here finally. I picked up at the hobby shop, they happen to have some plate girder from Micro Engineering in 50-foot sections, just the plate girder, not a bridge. It's actually these sections right here, and you get 4 to a pack. These are still have all the sprues and so forth on. But what I needed here was a second bridge for George's Gorge, because George's Gorge starts in here, winds in, goes into that first bridge, comes around the back, and then it comes back out here. Well, it just so happens that the area where it's coming out is on a curve. There are really, and this is kind of a custom curve, there's a 24 inch there, but then this starts to become a 28 or 30 inches here, and it's right on the transition, so really I needed a custom bridge. So what I did is I took some plate girder sections and I glued them to some 1/8 inch thick hardboard using some CA. Well, this is going to be a straight bridge, and then the track will curve through it. And I've got 2 coats of gray primer on there, and the second coat of primer is drying. So Then I'll paint this black. It'll be pretty much the same color as this plate girder bridge, the through girder. And then the track, I'll either disassemble this track or cut it out. I don't think this track is glued down. I think it's just nailed. But we'll see if I can get that track out without harming it. At any rate, I got more track. So that track will come through, curve through the plate girder bridge, and then I believe it's typical to ballast. I'll probably ballast this bridge to kind of hide the flat texture of the hardboard there. So let's take the plate girder bridge out, and something else I've been working on last couple days is tunnel portals. So I've got a couple tunnels on the layout that need portals. This one is probably non-prototypical. You can see I've got 3 tracks going in this tunnel, and so I basically needed a 3-track tunnel portal. I don't think those actually even exist. It gets to be pretty wide, but what I did is I fabricated one. I took a tunnel portal kit. It came with 2 tunnel portals. They're wood. And what I did is I cut one in half, and then I cut middle piece out of the other one, a cross member, and then I glued it in there with some Gorilla Glue. And essentially what I accomplished was I stretched this tunnel portal out further out. So I got a portal there. Now I've got to obviously get some plaster cloth, extend that scenery there and get this covered up. I'd like to, for this area, build this up a little bit and get a rock wall here. Not a lot of room on this layout for rock work, but this is one of the areas where I can get a rock wall. Likewise, if I go over to Champion Mine, I was thinking this would be another area. I need a mountain here anyways, a hill to cover up that stub end track. So I was thinking about having a pretty big hill coming down here and then rock work there. So I've got several rock molds, all the paints to get going. Never made rocks before really, so see how I do. And then just some miscellaneous ground foam in other areas. What else? I temporarily put that's from a Walthers plastic pellet kit. Put those up there. I was reading today about these plastic pellet transfer facility kits, and I've learned that it was suggested that these can also be used for flour mills, which Centennial Mills happens to be. So I have an extra. Actually, I have 2 of these kits, so I just stuck that up there to see if there's room back there to use that. Otherwise, I really don't have a use for that second plastic pellet kit, and it's nice. So I wanted to be able to put it somewhere. So I don't know that that's going to work up there or not. I was thinking about getting some industrial type backdrop for that area to kind of help blend this scene in. Anything else? I don't think so. I just really wanted to highlight a couple of those things that I was working on. Got a tunnel portal over here that I'm trying to fit in. I think I'll be able to use that one or another similar one. You don't really see what's going on over here, but I did quite a bit of work here fitting in a tunnel portal. That's a really tight squeeze to get a tunnel portal in there. See if I can actually find that portal. It might be over. Oh yeah, here it is. So here's another portal I was working on. This was also too wide and too tall, so I cut this down using a saw, because I basically have to squeeze this in here. Yeah. This was my first attempt, and this is not going to fit right. The portal's got to move up further here, and that's what this notch is for. is where that tunnel portal will kind of sit in there. But this is a really tight squeeze. There's a very fine line between getting this tunnel portal to fit so that a locomotive can go through without hitting its sunshades. And then also in the back in this hidden staging, we can't go too deep into there, or the locomotive with extended sunshades will hit the edge of that tunnel portal. So I'm going to grab another one of these. I got to make it a little bit wider, and I'll reattempt that to see if I can get that squeezed in there and finish this area off. It's not going to look real prototypical because that's just too narrow of a space, but it's what I got to work with, and I'll just have to, it is what it is. All right. Last thing I was going to talk about, and this is that item that I'd been meaning to mention for quite a while, but this is for the book readers out there. I read mostly technology books in my career, but I wanted to call out a really good book. I actually picked this up in the mid-2000s, I think around 2007, maybe even 2008, something like that. I found this in a bookshop over lunch one day. It had a train on the front. That's why I bought it. At the time I didn't know who Clive Cussler was, and I never got around to reading it up until 2 years ago. It sat on my bookshelf for the better part of 10 years almost. I finally read it while I was on vacation in Arizona 2 years ago, and it turned out to be a really great book. It's kind of a thriller suspense. It's about 405 pages, something like that. But it's so good that I've read it twice now. I was just in Tucson, Arizona about a month and a half ago on vacation, and I brought it down with me again and read it while I was down there for a week in my off time. So it's a great book. Highly recommend it. I'm not gonna give away any spoilers, but suffice to say, its main character's name is the bad guy is Jacob Cromwell, and he's a bank robber. And again, I'm not going to give away too many details, but I've got a lot of notes here. The other main character is Isaac Bell. So he runs around chasing the bad guy. Isaac Bell's the hero. But anyways, there's a number of things that I pulled out of this book that I wanted to kind of implement into my railroad, and that's why I took a bunch of notes. And so one of those things is going to be a boxcar that's going to be routed around the railroad. And so this book will kind of become, and its story will become a very small part of this file. But if you like to read, if you like trains, highly recommend picking up this book. It's a pretty easy read. It goes fast. Now, Clive Cussler, who actually just by coincidence lives in Arizona, I actually found out that he's authored tons of novels. I think he's written over 30 books, something like that. There's a YouTube video out there that shows all the books. There's a guy that collects all his books. You can see all the books that he's got. But so I just ordered this second book from Amazon, which is also about trains, The Wrecker. I haven't read it yet. This one's a little longer. This one's close to 600 pages, so I'm excited to get into this one. Now this one's co-authored with Justin Scott, which I understand Clive Cussler does a lot of co-authoring. In fact, most of his books I think he co-authors with. The Chase is one of a few that he authored solo. But again, highly recommend The Chase, and I'm looking forward to some good things with The Wrecker. So I'll have an update maybe later towards the end of this week. Hopefully I've finished some of these areas and kind of see how they turned out, because I'm anxious to get all the tape off and get to running some trains again. I've got car cards and waybills printed out, and it's time to start operating this railroad. So that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all the new subs, and have a great week.